Was about flowers, promises, and long messages. But time taught her real love is quiet, calm, and full of peace. When she met him, she didn't expect magic. His calm voice and steady eyes made her feel safe without trying. Their first talks were small, about food and weather, but each word felt easy, honest, and kind. He listened not to reply but to understand, and that simple act built trust faster than any promise could. Around him she didn't have to perform. She could drop her mask and simply exist. One evening she said, "You make me feel calm," and he smiled softly. That's how love should feel. He never joked at her pain or compared her to anyone. Instead, he made her feel seen and enough. Every message from him felt peaceful, like sunlight through the window after a long storm. Sometimes they just sat in silence, and the silence felt safe, not empty. He respected her boundaries and her quiet days, and that respect became the foundation of their love. When she laughed, he smiled. When she cried, he stayed. No drama, just presence. Their happiness lived in small moments, shared meals, late talks, gentle routines. She realized love shouldn't feel like a race. It should feel like breathing. That night she whispered, "Maybe love was never meant to be loud." Next morning he waited outside her favorite cafe. No flowers, just a quiet smile that said everything. She looked at him and finally understood. This is comfort. This is trust. This is home. Their marriage was peaceful again, until one afternoon a new name kept flashing on Arman's phone. Sara noticed the messages but said nothing. Silence can ask louder questions than words. That night she lay awake, fear whispering, "What if peace can break this easily?" Next morning Arman smiled as usual, but her heart stayed heavy. Love feels different when trust shakes. At work she kept replaying it in her mind. The tone of his voice, the secret half-smile. One afternoon she walked in and saw him texting, his face lit by the screen's glow. He looked up, startled, and placed the phone down too quickly. That small motion broke her calm. Tiny actions sometimes scream the loudest. Later she found a message. "You're easy to talk to. I wish my husband listened like you." Her breath caught. Pain can be silent but still thunder inside the chest. That night she finally asked, voice trembling, "Who is she?" Arman sighed, calm but firm. "A coworker. I'll set boundaries if this hurts you." The next day he proved it, not with excuses but action. Sara saw it later, relief blooming quietly where fear once lived. That evening he said, "I'll always choose your peace over someone's attention." She smiled through tears. Loyalty never needs drama. It only needs truth. Days passed and trust returned like morning light after long rain. She learned temptation can appear anywhere, but real love doesn't fear it. It overcomes it. Peace had returned to their home until one call shattered it. A friend said she saw Arman with another woman. Sara's hands trembled. She wanted to trust him, but fear whispered louder. That night she stared at the ceiling, wondering if love could survive one more doubt. Next morning he kissed her forehead as always, and she forced a smile. By noon she decided to see the truth with her own eyes, not out of anger, but for peace. At the cafe she spotted him, sitting with a woman, talking seriously over papers. Her heart slowed. They weren't flirting, they were working. Fear had lied to her again. She left silently, the weight in her chest replaced by calm realization. That evening she told him everything, how doubt had whispered and how truth had healed. He listened and said gently, "Next time, come to me first, not fear." Tears rolled down her cheeks, not from guilt but from gratitude. That night they sat together under the moon. No words, just understanding. Next day she messaged her friend, "He wasn't cheating. Thank you, but I trust my own eyes now." Love, she realized, isn't proved by suspicion. It's proved by patience. That weekend they took a quiet drive to the lake. The silence felt like forgiveness. At the water's edge he said, "We'll protect this peace together." She smiled softly. Maybe trust isn't blind, it's brave. From that day she promised, never let doubt speak louder than love. Sara once watched her best friend, Alina, break apart from betrayal. Her husband had cheated, yet she kept forgiving, hoping love would heal what loyalty had already broken. Alina whispered through tears, I thought I could fix him. Sara never forgot that line, because love can't repair someone who chooses to betray. Months later Sara met Alina again. This time her eyes looked free. I finally left, she said. I wasn't losing a man. I was releasing pain. That night Sara sat beside Arman and thought, faithfulness isn't taught by fear, it's chosen from love. She asked him, can people change after cheating? He said, only if guilt hurts more than being caught. Later she wrote in her diary, you can't love a grown man into staying. A good man stays because he wants to. Weeks later another friend called crying. Her husband had cheated. Sara listened and said gently, you shouldn't fight for someone who doesn't want to be kept. She told her friend, if another woman can take him, let her. You're not losing a man. You're being saved from pain. That night Sara looked at Arman sleeping beside her and whispered, thank you for being the kind of man I never had to fix. He smiled half awake and murmured, thank you for never doubting what we've built. Next morning, while folding his shirt, she smiled. Real love, she thought, is when peace lives where fear used to stay. She remembered Alina's face, free, strong, calm, and realized that walking away can also be an act of love for yourself. Months later they met again. Alina said, leaving him was the best choice I ever made. Sara replied, you didn't lose him. You found yourself. That evening Sara walked home under the orange sky thinking, a good man can't be stolen. A weak one never belonged. That weekend they took a quiet drive to the lake. The silence felt like forgiveness. Later she hugged Arman tightly. Sometimes gratitude is the quietest way to say, I trust you. Love, she realized, isn't about who you hold. It's about who never lets go when things get hard. She learned that loyalty is silent, not loud. It lives in small, everyday choices. Before sleeping, she wrote one final line. Good men don't need to be watched, they choose to stay. And as night wrapped around them, she felt safe again, knowing real love doesn't need to shout. Sara once thought love meant holding tight so no one could take it. But years later she learned. The tighter you hold, the faster peace slips away. At a dinner party, she noticed another woman laughing a little too loudly at Arman's jokes, leaning closer than she should. Sara simply smiled and kept eating. She had no reason to compete when she trusted who she was. Her friends whispered, why didn't you react? Sara replied softly, if he's mine, he'll act like it. That night, on the drive home, Arman said, you didn't look jealous. She smiled. Jealousy ruins what trust builds. He looked at her with admiration. She had turned maturity into strength, peace into beauty. At home they sat on the balcony. Sara said, I've learned peace is more romantic than control. Next day at work another woman complimented Arman too much. He smiled politely and stepped back. Later he texted Sara, I handled something today that reminded me why I respect you. She smiled to herself. Loyalty feels loud only to the one who receives it in silence. That evening he brought her flowers, saying, for no reason at all. She answered, that's the best reason. They ate dinner quietly. Peace filled the spaces where drama once lived. Sara told him, if one day someone tries to take you, I won't fight. What's real never gets stolen. He reached across, squeezed her hand, and whispered, and I'll never make you feel replaceable. Weeks later, at another gathering, she again saw flirtation. This time she just laughed. Peace had become her armor. When they returned home, he said, you didn't have to speak. Your silence said everything. That night she wrote in her diary, the right man doesn't test your patience. He protects your peace. Before sleeping, she whispered, love isn't about possession. It's about presence. Years passed quietly. Sara and Arman no longer needed grand gestures. just the comfort of ordinary days that began and ended together. He made her tea every morning. She left a note that said, "Drive safe." Love lived in small habits, not loud words. When he returned home each evening, one smile was enough to erase the noise of the day. Some nights they talked for hours. Others they sat in silence, but even silence felt like love when shared with peace. While folding laundry, Sara found old photos, tiny frozen moments of laughter and warmth she had forgotten. She smiled, realizing that real love isn't one big story. It's thousands of small ones stitched together with care. Later that night, she told Arman, "We don't perform love, we live it." He replied, "Because real love doesn't need an audience." Sometimes they argued, but instead of shouting, they paused, listened, and remembered they were on the same side. Every apology ended with a quiet hug, the kind that healed more than words ever could. One morning she watched him fix a broken cup instead of throwing it away. It reminded her of how they handled love. At a park, she saw him play gently with a neighbor's child, kindness spilling from him naturally. She thought, this is what love looks like. Kindness even when no one is watching. She thought, this is what love looks like. Kindness even when no one is watching. Sara smiled. No, I love who we've become. Stronger, calmer, real. They stopped at a small bridge. She leaned on his shoulder, watching the light fade. He whispered, "This is love." People often asked Sara, "What's your secret?" She always said, "We stopped trying to win. We started trying to understand." At her mother's house, she heard, "Are you happy?" She answered, "Yes, because I'm loved in peace, not noise." That night she poured him tea after a long day. He smiled, "You're my calm." Before sleeping, she wrote in her diary, "Love is simple when both protect the peace." She realized, real love doesn't sparkle every day. It quietly glows forever. Years drifted by like quiet waves. Sara and Arman grew older, their love softer but deeper than ever. Their home wasn't filled with riches. It was filled with laughter, tea, and memories that made walls feel alive. One morning Sara watched Arman water the plants they had once planted together. His hands slower now, but still full of care. She stepped outside, smiling. "You still take care of them like their family." He laughed. "They remind me of us." They sat beneath their favorite tree. Sara rested her head on his shoulder. "We stayed," she whispered. Later that day, they visited their grown children. The house echoed with laughter and the smell of food. Their daughter said, "You make marriage look easy." Sara smiled. "It's not easy. It's worth it." That evening, Arman told her, "I'm proud we never gave up, even when it was hard." She replied, "We grew instead of breaking." She opened their old photo album. Each picture was proof that time had not dimmed love, only deepened it. She touched a wedding photo and whispered, "We made it," he said softly, "because we kept choosing each other." Sara began writing letters to their children about what love truly means. She wrote, "Love doesn't stay because you hold it tightly. It stays because you hold it kindly." Arman found the letters and smiled. "You're writing our story for them." She laughed. "Someone should." Their hair turned silver, their steps slower, yet their evenings were still full of shared tea and quiet skies. To her granddaughter she said, "Find someone who brings peace, not noise. Excitement fades, peace stays." One rainy night, Sara looked at Arman sleeping and felt tears of gratitude. Real love had outlived time. When Arman fell ill, she never left his side. He whispered, "Promise me you'll keep smiling when I'm gone." She placed his hand over her heart. "You'll never be gone. You live here." After he passed peacefully, she sat in silence, her heart broken, yet full of peace. Years later, holding his photo, she smiled. Love is peace that never leaves, even when the person does.
Thank you for watching till the end. Your love and support mean everything to us. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss any of our new stories and updates. And if you enjoyed this journey, comment below and let us know. Your feedback inspires our next big story.